The Tribal Chief has spoken and the entire wrestling world just got flipped upside down because Roman Reigns didn't just return to Monday Night Raw, he brought back the one man nobody saw coming, and that man is Jon Moxley. If you thought you knew what was going to happen next in professional wrestling, then you better think again, because what went down on Raw has completely shattered everything we thought we understood about loyalty, alliances, and the future of this business. Before we dive deep into this absolute chaos, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because you're not going to want to miss a single update on what happens next in this story. Seth Rollins stood in the middle of that ring like a man who had finally found his purpose again after months of struggling with injuries, doubt, and the weight of carrying Raw on his shoulders. He grabbed that microphone and started painting a picture of the future that had the WWE Universe hanging on every single word. Rollins talked about building something new, about creating a legacy that would outlast all the factions and all the bloodlines that had come before. He spoke about unity, about brothers in arms, about a vision that would change the landscape of Monday Night Raw forever. The crowd was eating it up because Seth Rollins has always had that gift of making you believe in whatever he's selling, and on this particular night he was selling hope. But hope is a dangerous thing in professional wrestling, especially when Roman Reigns is involved. The lights went out in that arena and you could feel the electricity surge through every single person in attendance because they knew something massive was about to happen. When those lights came back on there, he was the undisputed Tribal Chief Roman Reigns standing on that entrance ramp with his eyes locked directly on Seth Rollins. The history between these two men runs deeper than almost any rivalry in modern WWE history, and seeing them face to face again after everything they've been through sent chills down the spine of everyone watching. Roman took his time walking down that ramp because he wanted Seth to feel every single second of his arrival. He wanted the anticipation to build, he wanted the fear to creep in, and he wanted everyone to remember exactly who runs this company. When Roman finally stepped into that ring, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. These two men who once stood side by side as brothers in the Shield had been through wars together and against each other, and now they were face to face once again with the future of Raw hanging in the balance. Roman grabbed the microphone and his first words cut through the arena like a blade. He didn't waste time with pleasantries or reminiscing about old times, because Roman Reigns isn't that man anymore. He looked Seth dead in the eyes and told him that his vision was nothing but a fantasy, that his plan to rebuild Raw was doomed from the start, because there's only one man who has the power to shape the future of this business, and that man is Roman Reigns. The disrespect was palpable and Seth's jaw clenched as he listened to every word, because he knew where this was heading. Seth fired back with everything he had, telling Roman that his time as the untouchable god of WWE was over. He reminded Roman of all the times he had fallen short, of all the cracks that had started to show in his armor, and of all the superstars who were tired of living under his shadow. Seth told Roman that Raw was his show now and that there was no room for the Tribal Chief's ego or his manipulation anymore. The verbal warfare between these two legends had the crowd on their feet, because this wasn't just a promo battle, this was years of emotion and history spilling out in real time. That's when everything went completely off the rails. The sound of Moxley's music hit the speakers and the entire arena went into absolute pandemonium, because nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Jon Moxley to show up on Monday Night Raw. This man had been the face of AEW, the rebel who left WWE to forge his own path and build his legacy outside of Vince McMahon's empire. Seeing him walk through that curtain onto a WWE stage was something that felt impossible just days ago, but there he was in the flesh, and the look in his eyes told you everything you needed to know. Moxley marched down to that ring with the same intensity that made him one of the most respected wrestlers on the planet. He wasn't there to play games, he wasn't there to reminisce about the Shield, and he definitely wasn't there to make peace. When Moxley stepped through those ropes and stood next to Roman Reigns, the wrestling world collectively lost its mind, because this alliance was something straight out of a fever dream. The three former Shield members were now in the same ring, but the brotherhood that once united them was long dead and buried. Seth looked like he had just seen a ghost, because the last thing he expected was for Moxley to align himself with Roman Reigns. The betrayal hit Seth like a truck, and you could see it written all over his face. This wasn't just about wrestling anymore, this was personal. Seth had spent months trying to build something pure, trying to create a vision that would inspire the next generation of superstars, and now his two former brothers were standing across from him ready to tear it all down. Moxley grabbed the microphone and his words were venomous. He told Seth that his vision was weak, that his leadership was nothing compared to what the Shield used to be, and that aligning with Roman was the only real power move left in this business. Moxley said he didn't come back to WWE to be part of Seth's fantasy, he came back to dominate, to take what he wanted, and to remind everyone why he's one of the most dangerous men to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or boo, because this was chaos in its purest form. Roman stood there with a smile on his face, because everything was falling into place exactly the way he wanted. Having Jon Moxley by his side wasn't just about adding another weapon to his arsenal, it was about sending a message to every single superstar in that locker room. The message was simple: nobody is safe and nobody can stand against the Tribal Chief when he has someone like Moxley backing him up. The power shift was immediate, and you could feel it ripple through the entire arena. Seth tried to fight back, tried to reason with Moxley, tried to remind him of everything they had been through together, but Moxley wasn't hearing any of it. The look in his eyes was cold, calculated, and completely ruthless. He had made his choice and there was no going back. The tension in that ring was reaching a boiling point and everyone knew that violence was about to erupt at any second. And then it happened. Roman gave the signal and Moxley lunged at Seth with a viciousness that was terrifying to watch. The two men who once fought side by side were now tearing each other apart and Roman stood back orchestrating the destruction like a maestro conducting a symphony of chaos. Seth fought with everything he had but the numbers game was too much. Roman joined in and the beatdown that followed was absolutely brutal. Every punch, every kick, every slam was designed to break Seth Rollins not just physically but mentally and emotionally. The Raw locker room started to empty as superstars rushed down to the ring to try and stop the assault, but Roman and Moxley were ready for them. They fought off everyone who came through those ropes, proving that this alliance wasn't just talk, it was a legitimate force that could not be stopped by anyone. Bodies were flying everywhere, the ring was a war zone and the crowd was going absolutely insane because they were witnessing something that would be talked about for years to come. Security tried to restore order but it was useless. Roman and Moxley had made their statement and they made it loud and clear. By the time they finally backed off and exited the ring, Seth Rollins was left lying in a heap surrounded by the wreckage of his shattered vision. The camera zoomed in on Seth's face and you could see the pain, the anger and the realization that everything he had worked for had just been destroyed in a matter of minutes. The implications of this alliance are massive and they stretch far beyond just Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns aligning with Jon Moxley changes the entire power structure of WWE and possibly the entire wrestling industry. If Moxley is truly back in WWE, then what does that mean for AEW? What does it mean for all the other superstars who thought they had a chance to rise to the top? What does it mean for the future of the bloodline and all the storylines that have been building for months? The WWE Universe is buzzing with theories and speculation about what comes next. Will Seth Rollins be able to recover from this betrayal and find allies of his own to fight back against Roman and Moxley? Will other members of the Shield get involved? Could we see Dean Ambrose fully return to his old persona, or is Jon Moxley here to stay as the dominant force we've seen in recent years? The questions are endless and the possibilities are even more exciting. What makes this storyline so compelling is the real history between these three men. They genuinely did come up together, they did revolutionize WWE as the Shield, and they did go through wars that shaped their entire careers. That foundation of real emotion and real brotherhood makes this betrayal sting even harder because it's not just characters on a screen, it's real people with real history and real stakes. The authenticity is what makes this must-watch television. Roman Reigns has once again proven why he is the most compelling character in all of professional wrestling. His ability to manipulate situations to bring in unexpected allies and to always stay 10 steps ahead of everyone else is unmatched. He doesn't just win matches, he breaks spirits, he destroys dreams, and he reshapes the entire landscape of WWE to fit his vision. Adding Jon Moxley to his side is a masterstroke that nobody saw coming, and it's a move that could define the next era of WWE programming. Jon Moxley returning to WWE is a seismic event on its own, but returning as a villain aligned with Roman Reigns takes it to another level entirely. Moxley has always thrived in chaos, has always been at his best when he's unleashed and unhinged, and now he has the backing of the most powerful man in WWE. The combination of Roman's strategic brilliance and Moxley's raw violence is a recipe for absolute destruction, and every superstar on the roster should be terrified. The road ahead is going to be brutal. Seth Rollins will have to dig deeper than he ever has before to find a way to fight back against this alliance. He'll need to find people he can trust, people who are willing to stand with him against impossible odds, and people who believe in his vision enough to risk everything. The journey to redemption won't be easy, but if there's one thing we know about Seth Rollins, it's that he never stays down for long. The WWE Universe is more invested in Monday Night Raw than they have been in a long time because this storyline has everything you could possibly want. It has history, it has emotion, it has shocking swerves, and it has the promise of incredible matches and unforgettable moments in the weeks and months to come. This is the kind of storytelling that reminds us why we fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. As we move forward, every single episode of Raw is going to be appointment television because you never know what Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley are going to do next. You never know who they're going to target, who they're going to recruit, or how far they're willing to go to maintain their grip on power. The unpredictability is what makes this so exciting, and it's what will keep fans glued to their screens week after week. So if you want to stay updated on every twist, every turn, and every explosive moment in this storyline, then you absolutely need to subscribe to this channel right now. We'll be breaking down every segment, analyzing every promo, and giving you all the latest news and rumors as this story continues to unfold. Don't miss out on what could be the storyline of the year. Hit that subscribe button and join us for the ride.